Not only is what we about to watch heartbreaking, but it's going to give you this overwhelming sense of wanting accountability for the actions taken against these people unlawfully. Listen to this father speak out about what was done to his son, who was a J6 prisoner. Check it out.
Families have lost everything. Their husbands, the fathers, the breadwinners have been taken from them and put in prison unlawfully for many years for the simplest of infractions.
You said this wasn't the first prison that your son was at. Can you talk to us about what they charged him with and why he was at another prison before coming here?
Sure. What they do is it's called diesel therapy, so you can't settle. So what they'll do is when they first picked my son up on January 16, 2021, they scooped him up and then they started taking him from prison to prison. Son spent 202 days down in the bowels of the D.C. prison. The conditions there are so egregious. He was actually sifting water through a sock because there's so much rust in the bottom of that prison that you can't drink the water. And
Wow.
they would lay him on a cot. They had lights. This was like Vietnam, where they had lights on all the time. You had two blankets. They call them suicide blankets, and you just laid him on a basically a block, and you didn't even have a mattress. So and then what they do as soon as you start to get communications with your attorneys and your family, they scoop you up and they take you to another prison. And then so you'll be there for 2 weeks. You're usually a week to 2 weeks. You're in solitary, where they're transitioning you into the new prison. And then you're there for, oh God, maybe 3 to 5 months. They ship you out again. And there was a time that on 2 Christmases ago, we didn't know where he was for like, I want to say almost 3 weeks. How is that possible? How come you can't, call his family? Nobody knows where he's at. When you can't talk to your attorneys, you can't hardly even talk to your family, and you can't possibly, make a defense. And then when you do get your attorneys, you talk to your attorneys, and then they scoop you up and they move you to the prison. All your notes and stuff, they take. So they know exactly what your defense is. It's like playing cards with your opponent looking over your back and looking at your hand. It's impossible to win. What has happened under the Biden regime was so egregious, so anti-American, unconstitutional. They walked all over our Bill of Rights. Thank God President Trump came in here, because not just for our patriots and our families, but for all of America, because if they didn't like you, they would do anything to shut you up. They tried to shut down my businesses. They had the local the state agencies come after my companies. I got a bunch of companies like restaurants. And so they'll stop at nothing to shut you down. And I've lived through it. And so here we are today.
So you're standing out here. President Trump signed the pardon over 24 hours ago, or coming up on 24 hours ago. Your son is still not out. What reasons have they given you for that? And what do you think is actually going on?
What this is nothing more than this nasty, rotten mayor of this city that controls these facilities. They're not federal facilities. They're city-run facilities. So what she's doing, because she's all bent out of shape because they're out, she is doing everything she possibly can to hold up the process and also harm him. My son was assaulted by a lieutenant and 5 other guards last night. He was assaulted, punched. He was sitting in the middle of the quad waiting to get processed and go out. Came in, they handcuffed him, they wrenched his wrists, put him behind him, they punched him. From what I understand, they threw him physically into his cell, and that's what he was for the rest of the night. And this is a young man who has been pardoned like everybody else. And so this is how they're treating them. So we already have a lawsuit filed, but this just adds to that.
Oh my gosh, man. What's happening in real time to these prisoners, or J6 hostages? I'm sorry. I'm happy that they've been released, but hearing this story right here, man, is unfortunately not exclusive. It's actually, I've seen somewhere else where another J6 prisoner was harassed on his way out, things of that nature. But we all know a lot with J6 is, got to be very careful here. It's starting to unravel. Nancy Pelosi's lack of accountability is starting to be seen on full display, and people are asking for justice. Now, the problem with J6 and the sentencing was definitely the excessive sentencing in relation to the charges, the minor offenses and things of that nature. The response was just outrageous. We also have MTG, Major Retailer Green, actually giving her response to that as well. We also have somebody whom is claiming to have more information that they try to censor from being released. And of course, as the man mentioned in the beginning, everything that he said is now being classified as misinformation, disinformation, and things of that nature. So we gotta just observe what we have here, man. And I actually have to tiptoe around the subject for obvious reasons until I'm of the understanding that YouTube is cool with this. Ooh, excuse me. Pam, I think I'm about to sneeze again. Ooh. Excuse me. It says, great, these people need justice. It's compensation for the 4 years they've had to waste away in jail in horrible conditions and treatment. Don't forget to add Nancy Pelosi and Liz Cheney in the J6 committee. But apparently there's a $50 billion lawsuit being planned with 600 J6 plaintiffs.
Hey Ben, real quick, do these guys?
Go ahead.
Do these guys plan on filing any charges against the government?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You mentioned they just asked Rick. Rick just asked, you guys, what's the plans on filing charges, lawsuits, everything else?
Well, just last night, Ronnie Samlin, one of my Jan 6 brothers that spent over 2 years in the Gulag, filed a police report because I was assaulted by Lieutenant Allen inside the jail last night. So we're coming back. We've got a $50 billion lawsuit being planned out right now with 600 Jan 6 plaintiffs on it. We're ready to rock and roll. Every single ounce of accountability that we have been basically, we haven't been able to get it because we're being transferred from prison to prison and stuff. When somebody assaults you in prison, then the next day you're switched to a whole nother prison halfway across the country. You don't get to keep the paperwork. You don't get to call your family. So we're going to sit down. We're going to start to write down the names of the perpetrators of this violence against us, all of our captors, and we're going to name them one by one in federal lawsuits and go after real justice. And we got to file them outside D.C. because the courtrooms here are broken. Got to file them in different federal districts, find out different ways to make sure the jurisdiction that we get into is one that we can actually win the case. Because you go in front of a D.C. jury here with a lawsuit on the D.C. jail, what do you think is going to happen? Same thing, January 6th. They're going to shoot it down. So we got to find out ways. We got to be smarter than the average bear, and we got to bring these people to justice, at least civilly for now. And, if Joe Biden didn't pardon all those criminals that did the J6 Select Committee, we could have held them accountable criminally, but we'll find a way. God will make a way. I'm sure.
No, I mean, ideally, they would all end up in the cells that you were being held in.
Yeah, I left a couple notes for them in there, too.
And one more thing. So on the documentary, if people want to see the real truth behind the video, you were a J6er as well. How can they find that?
Daniel Goodwin, and you can go to open.inc/J6 to see J6, A True Timeline. Tucker Carlson said it should be the most famous movie in the country. So it's open.inc/J6, Inc is with a K.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate you.
The hypocrisy that's displayed by the Democrats, the fact that Joe Biden pardoned himself, his whole family, people whom allegedly have committed no crimes should raise an alarm for you guys. But I don't know. The fact that they really use J6 to, how do I say, they used it. I feel like they really went after the J6ers because they were Trump supporters, more so than what they actually, and more so than any crime that they may have actually committed, which most of them were just in there for being there, literally, just being there. J6 political prisoner, Washington County resident Reed Christiansen was released to his wife last night. Reed spent 3 years in federal prison. Oh, wow. So we're starting to see families reunite. As I told you, MTG actually has something to say. He said he's been critical. Paul A actually said, I've been very critical of MTG for many past things, but what she's saying here is great. Let's go ahead and hear her out.
Come to the Capitol or do any tours or any meetings here?
Is this all you really talking about is the J6ers that have been pardoned?
Yeah.
Okay, are you going to talk about the Biden family that got pardoned? No?
I haven't.
Oh, okay, what about the rapers and killers and murderers that Joe Biden pardoned? There are tons of them. Is that a focus at all?
Well, I'm asking about J6.
I know that's what you're asking. I know that's what you're asking about, and I'm not doing this. This insane place up here and all of y'all's obsession with January 6th is absurd. Everybody outside of here is sick and fucking tired of it. I'm serious. And so Joe Biden pardons all these murderers and rapists and disgusting people, and then everybody up here has got their panties in a wad because J6ers got pardoned. Like people that walk through open doors. A lot of them walk through open doors. That's it. And everybody here is like, J6. Seriously.
But you've been so outspoken on this issue. I mean,
yes, I have. And they're pardoned. And thank God, I hope they go live their lives and can reassemble something back together, because they have suffered enough. Go do a story on all the Antifa BLM people that never served time. Over 95% of them, seriously. Think about that. And go do a story on these cities that BLM burned to the ground and they never built back. They raised all that money on ActBlue and they never built those communities back.
You don't think it's a fair question to ask you because you've been so outspoken.
It is nauseating. I've seen all the Democrat-run networks ad nauseum about January 6th, and they just can't get over themselves, but they don't give a shit about real Americans.
The speaker just
Amen.
committee to investigate January 6th, so it's not like Republicans aren't talking about this.
No, but it was your question. Are you gonna have J6ers come in? Are you gonna give them tours? Like, I'm so sick of you people and all this crap. I really am.
The reason why I asked that is because other people.
The reason why you asked that is because you wanted to do something vicious and vile. You wanted to try to get a gotcha moment. Just be somebody with integrity, at least. That's the minimum requirement.
I'm so sick of you people and all this crap. I really am.
The reason why I asked that is because other people have said that, and so I assumed you would be one of those people that would also be having tours, just because I know you're close to some of the people.
Because you're assuming. You know, the problem is you people never gave me a fair shot to begin with, and all these assumptions and all these headlines and all these lies. So you came in asking me, why don't you do a story on what people care about? People care about the border, the economy, energy. They're sick and tired of the foreign wars. They're tired of the hypocrisy up here, and they hate the media right now. They do, I'm serious. You guys have created a situation where you're not trusted and people are sick of y'all. And it's sad. I'm serious, it's sad. Well, so no, I'm not answering this question because I'm not going down this stupid thing of Martin Taylor Greene.
Well, I don't think it's stupid to ask that question. I mean, just you've been so outspoken on this issue, I thought you might want to talk about it. But that's why I asked, so I'm glad I did. Thanks, guys.
Well, I'm glad I did. That's why I asked, so I'm glad I did. These guys are very selective on their outrage. They're very selective on whom they choose to question. And as MTG pointed out, they never actually focus on the stories that Americans want to hear about, which is the truth. Nobody's covering what happened with Joe Biden's pardon. I mean, the people whom Joe Biden decided to pardon. Long list of criminals. I'll just say it the nice way. Now, released January 6th political prisoner says he has evidence to present in front of Congress. He says that the evidence is proving Nancy Pelosi is responsible for January 6th, and he have it in his possession right now. Now, for YouTube's sake, I want y'all to know that this isn't the evidence, okay? I want YouTube to know that. This is him letting us know that he has evidence. Let's figure out what it is.
Okay, quick message number 2. This one's important. So when I was locked up in D.C., again, Jan 6er here, when I was locked up pre-trial, they basically denied us any access to evidence. For some reason, when they finally did give us access to evidence, I got access to evidence.com that nobody else was, except for us that were in D.C. at the time back in 2021, 22. When we got access to that, I was getting more information than most anybody else on the outside. Lawyers didn't see what we saw. When I came out, I managed to get myself bond, where almost nobody else did once they were held pretrial in D.C. When I did, I had evidence, and I have it in my possession right now. Just got it out of my storage unit. It shows that President Trump is right. Nancy Pelosi is directly responsible for what happened on January 6th. It is a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact. More to come. I can prove Nancy Pelosi was responsible for this. Okay, quick part 2, because I was asked to do this. The evidence that I have about January 6th being a setup, everything that you have seen is a lie. That is fact. That is going to be proven. We need to show up in front of Congress, me and every other single Jan 6er who has been through this, to testify and show what we have. The evidence that I have seen is a vast conspiracy. This, again, is not conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact. We can prove that Nancy Pelosi worked with the Pentagon, Milley, we've got Schumer. We have various members of Congress and Senate, some of which are still there. We have the FBI. We have various three-letter organizations. This is fact. I want people to know that I'm not suicidal, and I just got out of the doctors. I'm in great health. So if something happens to me, it was not natural. Okay, there is stuff that I know that I can present to Congress, to investigators, to prove everything that I'm saying. This was a setup. This whole thing is a lie.
Now, again, I have to state, because of the platform that we're on and the subject that we are talking about, I don't want YouTube to think that I'm here trying to spread any misinformation or disinformation. This guy didn't present any particular piece of evidence. He's simply making a claim that he has evidence. And I'll just leave that at that on that part. I will say 2025, Donald Trump being back in his office, we're going to see the deep staters and the corrupt regime that has been in the government for all these years. We're getting to crumble piece by piece. These people are, well, J6ers are already saying that they're not going to take their case up in DC for obvious reasons. Doing so only puts them at risk of getting their case being pushed out and more corruption to be had in the midst of that. So they're going to take it somewhere else where they can get a fair shake. I believe it's the right thing to do. What do y'all think? Somebody says this guy better watch himself. He should have got in front of Congress first. I hope they get every dime that they are coming for. Somebody says, keep this man safe. Remember when UHC CEO had dirt on her? So yeah, this is all we have so far, y'all. Like I said, we got to stay prayed up and see what comes of this. We clearly see the hypocrisy between the Democrats. Biden can pardon his whole family and pardon actual criminals. However, Trump pardoned some people who just were there. It's seen as worse. This is America, y'all.